Hello again. Plenty of kids dream of sporting glory, and we all know a huge amount of work goes into creating sporting champions. But what's the role of parents and how hard should they push them? Quantum Sports' Sue Morris, herself a parent and a coach, joins me now. Thank you for coming in, Sue. Flooded with feedback on this already this morning. Always a bit of a contentious topic. What is your feeling in terms of pushing kids? Is it good to give them a wee push, or could that totally destroy all their hopes and dreams and be a negative thing?
Well, I think, like in most things, every child will be different. But I think one of the underlying foundations has to be that the child enjoys themselves, that they have a fun, enjoyable experience at whatever level they're able to participate in. If you talk to Rob Thorpe, the Teaching Games for Understanding guru, one of the key factors he says is fun and enjoyment.
Tamati and I were talking about this before. I guess you can compare sport to, say, academics, to, say, music, because in a lot of ways it is very similar. As a parent, how would you advise them as to do your kids need a push every so often to say, no, you have to go to netball practice. I know you don't feel like it because it's cold. You need to go. And where is that line?
Well, I think as a parent, I've taken the line that if you've committed to being involved in a sport for the season, you see that commitment out. But equally as parents, we've got to ensure that they are motivated, that they enjoy the experience, and that may be in the way that we speak to them, keeping the emotional tank of the child full by being positive in our comments, both on and off the court, you know, and around the meal table. If you lose, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that's part of the journey in becoming and playing and participating in sport. But failure is part of the journey in life too. And so talking those things through. As a coach, I use a commend, recommend, commend analogy, whereby I can continually be talking positive things to my children. Yes, there may be something that I want to recommend that they do, and then I finish with commending. So it's building up that ratio of lots of positive comments versus the negative. So, you know, parents can do that too.
I guess a lot of us would have been in situations, whether we've been on the field or on the sideline, where you've seen a parent getting a little bit angry at their kid and saying, oh, go for the ball. Is that okay? Is that ever okay?
I don't think. I think parents have to be positive on the sideline. I think the way they play their game on the sideline as spectators is very, very important. And that's a time to be positive. You really don't know what the coach has asked the child to do, for example. But that's things that you can talk about with the child. I think, you know, when you're calling out comments like that, it's negative for the child and it's embarrassing for them, and that's not going to help their motivation to want to stay participating in sport. That's not going to help their fun factor.
From looking at the feedback we've had so far, we have some people in New Zealand that think we are a bit soft, and that perhaps we need to get more of this Australian mentality where we don't pussyfoot around things, I guess. That's a delicate balance as well, isn't it? Being too soft, and perhaps the kid may need a push at some stage or other. But how do you get that balance?
Well, sport's an interesting thing because it always has a score, and that's your measuring stick, that's your yardstick. And for me, it's about always wanting to be better than before. It's about improving. You know, when my team loses, I feel bad as a coach, and I'm going through what could have I done differently, what could I do at training. And so it's about encouraging the children to be better than before. There will always be times that they win, but there will equally always be times that they lose. And if they're still enjoying the experience, they will motivate themselves to want to be better. It will become intrinsic in them if we are positive around them.
So as a parent, how do you, I guess, foster that motivation? How do you get them excited about sport without being negative? What sort of things could a parent do?
Well, I think just that keeping the emotional tank full, I think thinking about how they respond on the sideline, actually getting to know the rules of your child's game, because rules change, and quite often I've been a netball referee and parents have called out things on the sideline. They go, well, that rule went out a long time ago. So there are lots of things that parents can do to become involved in the sport, but equally you don't want to embarrass their children either. Their children will be put off sport. I mean, I've got a daughter who's been put off sport because the coach yelled at her. Some children can take yelling and some children can't. And I think as coaches and parents can help coaches, give them insights into what motivates their children. I've had parents come to me and say, look, you know, my daughter didn't enjoy training because this happened. Well, I'd rather know that, because that helps me. And it's the fun factor. I've got to make sure they want to come back. That's my job as a parent, as a coach, but also as a teacher.
So you're saying as a coach yourself, you've had kids and you would treat kids in that same team quite differently. So you might be able to be a bit harder on one and you'd have to be a bit softer on another. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I still have the same level of expectation, but the way I try and get that out of the child, I may pull a child quietly aside and talk to them, or I am a loud coach on the sideline, don't get me wrong. I will be calling things out, but equally in the heat of a game, they're probably not going to listen, but at trainings, absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I guess some parents that perhaps aren't involved in trainings and things, you might be shouting something out and they might not agree with it, but you're with the kids, I guess, more throughout the training, so it's trusting the coach, I guess.
It is, and it's talking to the coach, communicating with the coach. If there are issues at home that the child's come home and talked about that are negative, talk to the coach, tell them about it.
Well, Sue Morris, thank you very much. We're not going to leave it there because we've got some great feedback. What have you got there, Tamati?
Just one thing that I want to ask you, Sue, being a mother and also a coach. Somebody wrote in on Facebook, Jason, saying my 9-year-old daughter is a very good swimmer and also has the determination to win as well, but she's only 9. We could have her in the pool 5 days a week before school, but at this stage it's only 2 days. Is it too little, too much, and where exactly is that line?
Well, I think that's once again different for every child. I mean, I had a daughter who was a swimmer too, and it's incredibly time consuming. She's got to enjoy it. If she enjoys being in the pool twice a week, so be it. If she wants to be in the pool 5 times a week, well then you can. But I think there are times when parents do need to step in and they need to guard their child's heart. They need to make sure that they are good guardians and good parents of their athletic children as well. And that means looking at their physical development, keeping a balance socially, keeping a balance emotionally. So, you know, every child's different, but if they want to do it, I would say put them in the water.
Go for it. So it's up to the child. That actually is similar to what we had a tweet in from Samantha Warrener. She's one of our best Ironman and triathletes. She's since had a wee baby, but she says here it's all about making it fun first and foremost, and then fostering a lifelong love of sport by supporting them. I guess from that perspective, I mean, you take Tiger Woods. He had a golf club in his hand, I think, from the age of 3. So at that point, when is it the parent's choice and when is it the child's choice to start that off? And at what point do you have to say, do you still want to play golf? You know, I guess they had to give him the club in the first place.
Yeah, but he had to obviously want to play, and maybe, you know, there was some sort of enjoyment in there for us, which is why he took it to that huge level that